Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 15 of Powerbombshells with Sam and Mel. We're just two broads chatting about the wrestling we're watching, and a lot of our wrestling is intersecting. So when I was putting some of those notes together yesterday, I was like, wow, all these things affect other things. I was like, hopefully we're not stepping on any toes with other shows on the Fight Game Media Network who cover things more in depth. And we are the first show of the week, so we do kind of get especially with what happened yesterday, we have some time to talk about it. But it also with other things we've actually been talking about for weeks now, like it's all intersecting and turning into this big kind of convoluted little bit of a mess.
Well, I mean, I think what the deal is that we come out first with the right opinions about it.
There we go.
And then everyone else spends the rest of the week proving why we're right or trying to prove why we're wrong.
See?
And failing.
It works out, which means that you have to be a Patreon subscriber and you have to go listen to these shows to find out and see it all just works out. We're just helping others. We're just helping
everyone else because you literally would have to subscribe to the Patreon if I could find the Patreon thingy right there. And Patreon Plus. But the point is, and when I will find it, and we'll get to that point,
we'll help you find it.
You even have to like get that far to understand because.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody has different views. Well, I would say everybody has different views, but I think on this one we might all kind of have the same view.
Yeah, we might all come down on this one a little bit. There it is.
Yeah. Yes. Make sure that you subscribe because there's lots of people putting out really good content and they're working really hard for you guys. So make sure you're subscribing there in addition to the Fight Game Media YouTube because there's all kinds of good free content there. And so make sure.
And actually, in fairness, I am also I've supported the Patreon because there's a lot of shows I actually really like on the Patreon.
There's good stuff there.
There's great free feed stuff. There's great YouTube. It's just good. We're just good.
There's a lot of content, but there's good stuff there. And make sure, and yes, definitely follow Fight Game Media on Twitter and Facebook and on Instagram. We kind of got away from posting over there, but we need to get back to that. But Facebook and Twitter definitely have like all the updates. So you'll know when there's new shows up, you'll know when there's clips up and, things like that. So make sure you're following Fight Game Media and obviously subscribe to the channel, like we said, so that you know when we have new shows. So yeah, we have all that. But today we're going to start a little bit differently. We're going to try a brand new segment that we've never done on this show before, but plenty of YouTubers have. So why not us? So
not us?
So Mel is going to do a live unboxing for you guys.
So I waited because Sam and I had talked about it, and you actually said you should do an unboxing. And I was like, ooh, that's a fun idea. Let's see if we can pull this one off. And we're, like you said, we're going to do our absolute best here. But I got myself, so there's two. We got two of the brand new Karl Fredericks times Canvas Theory hats. And I got, there's one for let's see if I can talk today. We got one for Bob and one for me because they dropped two within a couple weeks of each other, and it was kind of like, well, which one do we want? And then they kind of like fit both of us.
See, there you go, works out.
I was like, ooh, you get the like doing. Spirit Wolf one, and I get the slasher one, and I'll be great.
See, it works out. Karl knew what he was doing.
he did. All right, so let's see how we're gonna pull this off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is move my silly giant chair, and just in case anybody's wondering, this old lady needs to sit in the chair with good back support. So that's why I always sit in my giant chair. And I am very small, like a hobbit, but I still fit in the chair. And
you would never know.
So
Mel has been patiently extremely patiently waiting to open this package just so we could unbox it live for you.
It's true. They got here. It's been a little bit on. Bob said to me yesterday, "Is you guys are recording tomorrow, right?"
Tell Bob thank you for being so patient. Sorry that it took so long.
It will be worth it. Oh, I wanted to show everybody this because it's really cool because it actually says, can you see there? Actually says Karl Fredericks times canvas theory there.
Oh, awesome.
So he went
very cool.
and made sure.
Yeah, definitely want to plug Canvas Theory because this is their merch and they did a collection with the limited edition collection, right? With Karl?
I think so for this. Yeah, I think they made what they made for this. I think that might be kind of how he's feeling. I don't know what his vibes are right now, but he did that. He actually did an interview with John and Garrett on the Fight Game podcast that was really good.
Right.
And it talked about all kinds of different stuff with him. So he mentioned this too, and John from Canvas Theory is in our Fight Game Facebook group, which we were just telling you guys you need to be a part of.
Yes, definitely. See what you're missing out on?
And
you never know who will pop up in there.
He was pointing out how excited he was about this. So, okay, so this has got some Karl.
Yeah.
And his address. This is Bob's, so we know what I opened them in the right order. Yes, and that's actually written on there. There we go.
Very nice.
Love it. Hey, check it out. Look how nice that is.
Ooh,
fancy. I feel very fancy. All right, let's see what we're doing here. What's in the wrestling box? All right, so we got a pin.
Ooh,
it's nice. Hey, check it out. They put gummies in here.
That's really cute.
That is so awesome. Oh no.
Cute. Yeah, my sister, when she sends out her art, she tries to put little thingies in there. So I think it's fun when they put extra little goodies.
Oh no, I kind of didn't do it backwards. Okay, that's hilarious. I got the 3D slasher.
Oh, that's really cool.
Okay, I gotta pull this thing out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lied.
Unbag it.
I got Bob's name is on mine, so that means my name is on Bob's. So, this is really cool. Like, check this out, guys.
That's awesome.
I love the colors on this thing.
Yeah, the colors are really cool.
I was so excited when I saw that. So, you guys can find this canvastheory.com. I mean, obviously. So,
yeah.
Cool. Okay, let me put that over there because I cannot wait. That's really super nice. All right, I think I got everything. All right, so we got. Man, I can't believe how backwards I got that all up. So that was my hat, but I accidentally ordered it in Bob's name. So,
whoops.
See, all right. So that wasn't so bad. I didn't mess that one up. So
no.
I probably shouldn't jinx it right in the middle.
That's all right. We got one box to go. One box went 10 out of 10. Let's hope this one does too.
I went with my crafting scissors, so the serious ones.
Yeah.
I haven't injured myself, which is always a problem.
Yeah, no bleeding on the show. That's always good.
I didn't Cody Rhodes it or anything yet. So, oh my God, did I say that out loud? Oops.
I was going to say John Moxley, but one of them is always bleeding.
Okay, so yeah, this one is also addressed to me, and they wrote it on there.
That's really cool.
Fun. These are really cute. I like Karl's pictures that he picked. So, all right.
Yeah, I saw it on, I think I saw it on their Twitter. I saw those pictures. That's a really cool picture of him. I like that.
So again, nice.
Ooh,
this is really cool. It makes me. I mean, I'm gonna brag about it a little because whatever, but it does make me feel like. I mean, a lot of times you get your wrestling shirt in the bag or the envelope or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It is.
All right. Ooh, more gummies.
Yay.
You get a pin also. Another pin. More gummies, which I get. Anybody is going to give me the, especially these, the Haramu ones. I love them.
They got the
They're
good stuff.
my favorite. It's very cool. Okay. So here is number 2.
Oh, that's cool.
This is Okami. That's what it's called. I always get the name wrong, so I need to. And I think it's the part is that Kami means spirit, so it's like this is like the spirit wolf one.
That's so cool.
Check. Okay.
Oh yeah, that looks really nice. I like how it's just like it's simple, but it's so like it stands out a lot. I really like that. I like both hats. That he created really cool designs.
So these are. We did an unboxing.
We did it.
I might be actually like putting this like slash.
I was waiting. I was like, she's gonna end up putting this on, but you should.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
So is that front of it? Is that reflective, or is it just the way the colors look? I can't tell.
I don't know. Oh no, you know what? I think I remember now. It's because it's the 3. It's called the 3D slasher, and it's supposed to. Karl is he's like big into I think he's big into like horror movies. Because, and who isn't? Because
me.
You should. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. We can still be friends. We have wrestling no matter what.
Horror movies are not my thing.
Oh, I am all about. That's why I was like, Bob, you're getting the like spirit wolf.
They're
like,
really cool
run
though.
With the dogs, like you are the guy. Like,
see, it worked out.
We jokingly call him the dog lord because he can't go anywhere where dogs are without them wanting to just hang out with him. So I was like, you're definitely getting the like cutesy fancy one, but
they're both really awesome.
I think that the 3D thing is supposed to mimic the 3. Oh, there's a 3 on the side. Check that out.
Nice.
Pretty cool. I'm very excited. Okay, gosh.
Yeah, he did a really good job in Canvas Theory. Obviously, he did a great job too. It looks really good. I'm interested to see if they'll collab and do some more stuff because they look really cool.
All right, I'm not eating. You're not eating the gummies during the thing. You're not eating the gummies during the thing. I think Bob would kick my ass if I ate all the gummies without him.
Probably.
As he should. Because okay,
ooh, it looks awesome.
Perfect.
Yes.
All right, I'm back in my big ridiculous chair, and I've got my Karl Fredericks new gear. That actually, you know what? It really does come off as it definitely gets that 3D thing. And
yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool on camera, so I can imagine it's even cooler in person. I like it. It looks very cool.
I just love the colors. I love when people do like traditional colors, like normal colors, and like really mix them up in weird ways.
Yeah, and it looks really clean, but it like pops. I really like that hat. I mean, the other one's really nice too. I like both of them, but that one looks very cool.
All right, well, thank you, Canvas Theory and Karl Fredericks, for indulging our little as if they're gonna watch.
They might.
Actually, you know what? I might tell them about it. I will.
You should. Well, we can at them on Twitter. We can at them, but it's cool. And we did our first unboxing, and it was a very cool thing. And I have an idea for something that might happen. So maybe we'll have another unboxing. Even if you hated it, too bad.
I actually thought this was pretty good. So
I did too. I enjoyed it.
You need to have to do the technical side too. So
yeah, yes,
because we both need practice at these.
Yeah.
Things.
See, we're both learning over here.
And everyone needs to watch. And
yes. So thank you for indulging our first unboxing. I thought it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it too. And so now we will get into why we are why are we
regularly scheduled.
So I guess
on wrestling.
The best place to start will be because there's so many things leading together. We'll start with the BOSJ final.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll start with that. So this is the first time I've watched BOSJ in its entirety in probably 2 or 3 years. Like I would watch matches here and there. I watched every single night, and I watched every match, even though towards the end I was kind of doing other things, like, but in the same room, so I would look up and see things. And so, and then as I was telling Mel, and some of you may have seen it on Twitter, Friday morning, I got on Twitter long enough to post something and was getting ready to back out, and New Japan World retweeted something and they spoiled who won the tournament. So I watched the entire tournament just to have World spoil it for me. Then
it's the watching every day part that
right. That's what really, I was like, I was this close. And I know, well, you should stay off Twitter, which normally I get, but like I was telling Mel, the only thing I really saw about BOSJ was Ace Austin and Alex Zane trying new food like 12 times a day. They were always eating somewhere, and they're always posting
really
about
were.
it, which good for them. I'm glad they enjoyed it. But so that's a majority of what I saw. Like, I saw people talking about things like generally when I was watching, but I never got spoiled on anything. So I was like, and literally I was getting on Twitter for just a few minutes because I was just posting something, and then I was getting ready to leave because unfortunately Friday I had to go to a funeral. So I literally got on Twitter long enough to post something, and then that was it because I was getting ready to leave and I saw it. And then I was telling Mel, so Saturday night I tried to watch some of it, but the Fire Stick, for some reason Fire Stick and New Japan World give me problems. Like, it's an older Fire Stick, but I have no problems with any other app on it, well, besides Bleacher Report, but that's a whole that's a whole other story.
Bleacher Report's Bleacher Report.
Yeah, so World has actually been playing pretty well throughout most of the tournament. There are a few nights here and there where it was giving us issues, but so we missed certain things, and we were trying to skip around and find out exactly what we needed to see. And so when we went back to watch it last night, I had missed why Juice was not wrestling Hanma. So I heard that they had to call an ambulance for him, and I was like, oh, I bet I bet his appendix ruptured. And so I searched his name on Twitter, and that's what it was. And then Fightful said, Juice Robinson misses BOSJ finals due to appendicitis, and blank returns. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So I was also on Powerbombshells Twitter because I try to retweet Fight Game Media stuff so our followers can see like what other content's out there. So Brace for Impact spoiled something else for me. So it's like, so everything got spoiled for me yesterday before I could watch it, or like as I was watching it, I was getting spoiled.
It spiraled out of control.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't just one thing. I got spoiled like 4 different things. I was like, this is not it. I was like, what is happening here? And also my microphone is being weird. So yeah, but I enjoyed the tournament a lot. I thought it was really good. I was really glad to see how well Ace Austin and Alex Zane did. They did phenomenal. The fans really seemed to love them. Like, they were like having lines like around the building. They were saying they were having like really long lines. They kept running out of merch. It sounds like, and Wheeler Yuta did really well in the tournament. And so I think the tournament overall it was a really good tournament. And I do have to say that after I said what I said about Kanemaru 2 weeks ago, I was paying more attention to him, and I was like, take back what I said. I was like, I was like, it's not like he's not my favorite, and I'm not going to have any of his merch. However, I was like, okay, he made me eat my words, and I could admit that.
You need him there.
We do need him there, and he had some really good matches, and we also needed him there just for Kevin Kelly, because he was because of how Show was acting, and they were like, we need Kanemaru to keep him in line. So it was really good. And then we had so we had some so there were really good nights, and it was funny because pretty much every night Alex Zane and Ace Austin had good matches, and I would say something about it, and they would go through and they would like my Alex Zane, anytime I mentioned him, would like my tweets that would mention him, and Ace Austin did a couple times, so it was funny to kind of see that. But I really enjoyed the tournament. The last night itself was it was a lot of just, random matches because they're setting up for Dominion, or they're just, I think they had, was it Carl Anderson, has COVID, and so he missed the show. Will Ospreay is still recovering from a kidney infection. Now Juice misses the show because of an appendectomy, and I feel like one other person, was it Tongaloa, I think, missed the show, and I can't remember. I believe he also maybe tested positive for COVID.
There were a couple of other COVID tests.
Yeah, and I know Carl Anderson was asymptomatic, and Kevin Kelly was like teasing him on air about how he was asymptomatic and couldn't be there, and was like giving him a hard time because he couldn't be there. And so it sounds like they're doing well, hopefully. So I guess since you didn't watch, but you know what happened, so I will, for those of you who didn't see it either, I have notes. I took notes every single night.
I didn't watch every single night.
Basically, the notes that I took, basic notes. It was just basically like who won what. Even though I was going to say I had what matches were, but I basically tweeted out the matches that I thought were the best each night. And almost every single one of them were Ace Austin and Alex Zane were in them, because they just had a really great tournament.
They really did.
Yeah, Robbie Eagles versus Despy on night 11. That was the main event. That was a really good match. Despy, I think he main evented like several times throughout the tournament, and they were saying like he was kind of like the one to beat because they kept putting him in that main event spot, and for good reason. Like he had a fantastic tournament. And this was the first time I had seen Akira before. I really liked a lot of the stuff that he did. I thought
I saw like 2 of his matches and actually really enjoyed them, and I've seen him on Strong, so I was happy to see him in
Strong one of these days. And so now I'm like 4 episodes behind.
We'll get there.
Because during the tournament, I was like, I'm not watching the tournament and Strong. I was like, I can't do both. It's too much. And then, so the final night before the final, so it was like the semifinal night, there was like basically a double main event. It was ELP and El Desperado, and El Desperado beat ELP with his own finisher.
Yeah.
To advance, which I thought was fantastic. That was a really, really good match. I enjoyed it. And then just the ending was really great. And then Haramu beat Ishimori, and Ishimori came and sat ringside. No, not Ishimori. I'm sorry. Despy came and sat ringside so he would know who he was facing. And so it ended up being, so it was Despy versus Haramu, which is pretty much what everybody wanted was that final. And so we've covered with the final that about Juice. So during United Empire versus Bullet Club, I think it was Hanare was in the ring, and Ace Austin came in and he cost him the match. And Ace Austin is now a member of Bullet Club. So I think Bullet Club is up to like 18 members now. And you know who's still a member? Scott Norton.
Oh, I keep forgetting. And John keep reminding
Scott Norton is in that group, and so now it's Ace Austin, which I find is really interesting, is that both Ace Austin and Chris Bay are both in Bullet Club now, and because they obviously wrestle against each other a lot. Impact in the X division, and Ace Austin is the current X division champion. Chris Bay he's had the X division title before. They frequently wrestle each other, so I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic of how those two, how they're technically on the same side, how they're going to get along, and how that's going to grow. And I think that's probably a smart thing, because it sounds like Jay White's back in Japan for a while. Like he's done with Impact and he's done with his US of J tour for now, because he's got to do his Dominion stuff, and he'll obviously be in the G1, I'm assuming. So
I got to imagine.
yeah. So I was like, they're probably, I mean, unless he comes back for Forbidden Door, which is possible, but I mean, I think he's pretty much done stateside for now. So I guess they kind of needed Ace Austin to kind of, not to fill that role, but so they kind of had someone, I guess, an Impact that can kind of, so I guess it'll be Chris Bay, Ace Austin, and the Good Brothers, unless the Good Brothers are in the G1, which I guess is possible.
I guess
it depends on travel things, but so still, Impact has those four now. I think that's everybody. No, and sometimes Hikuleo is on Impact too. So, and then it seems
like he's been wrestling with Impact and some of the other like like he even was on some AEW
Yeah.
shows
So
where
they had him last
I
week.
feel like him being around is there's something to that.
Right. I think so too, especially because he had the match with Jay White a couple of weeks ago, which I still haven't seen yet, but we all know who won because it was filmed in advance, and they were teaming together at Windy City.
You really don't think they're gonna have Jay come back for Forbidden Door? Because
I think it's possible.
I feel like to me he was like a slam dunk on the card.
Yeah, I think that they could have him come back for that and then send him, but that's in the middle of G1 though, right? Doesn't
Forbidden Door? I don't think
no,
so.
it's after. No, G1 starts after. That's what it is. Okay, no. Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? New Japan Strong will be in Charlotte during the G1, and so I was trying to figure out. I was like, okay, well, we're not gonna get Jay White. Won't be here. I was like, might not have Filthy Tom Lawler. He might be in the G1. Karl Fredericks might be in the G1. So I was trying to figure. So I think that's what I was getting it confused with, because I was hoping. I was like, maybe we'll get Ace Austin and Alex Zane for the tapings. I hope
nice.
So. I'm trying to figure out who we might have and stuff because it's in the G1. Because as I was trying to, they're like, oh, it's coming to Charlotte. I'm like, did these people realize this is Strong tapings? Not that Strong tapings aren't awesome, and but I was like, did these people realize who kind of watch New Japan that they realize that this is happening during the G1? So they're not going to get Okada. They're not going to they're not getting Jay White. Like they're not getting Naido and stuff because they're going to be in the tournament. So I was like, hopefully people realize that, but it'll be awesome either way. But yeah, so Ace Austin is now a Bullet Club member. I think there's like 18 members now. This is something like that. And then we have, apparently, I'm not keeping up with WWE, but apparently AJ Styles and Finn Balor have been too sweeting each other.
I heard that.
And then I guess Liv Morgan did too, and people were getting mad about it, and people are like, but Bullet Club doesn't actually exist in WWE, even though the person who founded it is in WWE. They don't recognize Bullet Club, because then that would mean recognizing things outside of WWE, and because we know Cody hasn't wrestled for 6 years, according to them. They're treating it like it's CM Punk, like when CM Punk actually did not wrestle for 7 years. They're treating Cody like he did not wrestle for 6 years. And Kevin, even though I did hear Kevin Owens called them out on it on commentary and was like, no, he's been wrestling this whole time.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that was happening.
Yeah, I saw references to it on Twitter. I
should have known. He just disappeared into a vortex.
I was like, are they treating him like he's El Generico? Like
where did he go?
He went to an orphanage for 6 years in Mexico and just decided to come back with his neck tattoo.
Terrible neck tattoo.
Bless it.
That's what ruined it all.
Can you imagine if he runs for senator and or some kind of government position and has that tattoo?
His neck.
But I mean, I guess it's patriotic, so the people will love it. But
I can't. It's that thing. I genuinely believe that that's what did it. I think that's what pushed him over.
I think that kind of helped, but it was the doubling down of stuff after the Anthony Ogogo thing. I think is what really did it. That really. Well, that's again a conversation for another day.
Water under the bridge.
Yes. So after Ace, like this all happened like pretty quickly. So right after Ace Austin joined Bullet Club, there was like a little break where they were like kind of talking about stuff, and then out comes Sonata. So Sonata has returned, and that's who Fightful spoiled for me. So Sonata came out for literally like 2 minutes. He came back, and he thankfully got rid of that hideous beard that he had.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
The evil Sonata beard.
I hated that thing. So he came back, and he challenged Juice Robinson for the IWGP US title that he had to vacate at Dominion. However, Juice had an appendectomy that morning. There is no way that man is competing on June the 12th.
Yeah.
Like, that is not happening. So that was done. Like, they should have just been like, whenever you're healthy, I'm coming for the title. Is literally all they should have said. But he straight up said he was coming to Dominion. And it was like, Juice Robinson is not coming to Dominion unless they make him, hopefully they're not going to make him vacate the title, which would be weird, but I don't know what the recovery time is for an appendectomy, so I don't think it's clearly not as long as Sonata was going to be out with a broken orbital bone, which I see why they made him vacate, but I don't think that Juice will have to vacate the title. But it was really weird.
That would be like, that'd be like 7 days, 8 days from now.
Right,
like
exactly.
that.
And that's what Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton were kind of like, I don't think he's gonna be able to wrestle.
And that's kind of in a section of your body you really need for to do the wrestling.
Right. Yeah. To do the wrestling, you need that to be like healed. And so I was like, yeah, I don't think that's happening. So I don't know why Sonata said at Dominion and why he didn't just say, whenever you're healthy, I'm coming for that title, which is interesting because when I was looking for the Juice thing to confirm that, because I assumed that he probably had appendicitis when they said his pain was so bad, I came across a video that New Japan had posted of Juice 3 days prior, and Juice is talking about how obviously he's rock hard. He's the best IWGP US champion of all time because he's the only one who has won it 3 times. And he was like, Mox and Tana know that, and they're not going to challenge me. So he went after Ospreay, who was recovering from a kidney infection. So he's like saying all these things. And then it just, the last minute or so ended up, because now we know that he has an appendectomy. And I was like, you kind of played yourself there the last minute of that promo, because now you are on the receiving end, and now you're the one who's having some health issues. So it was kind of funny. And I was like, oh, but so it sounds like Will is still kind of in this picture, but now, so Will is recovering, Juice is now injured, and Sonata is back, and Sonata is like ready to fight at Dominion, and there's nobody for him to fight. So I don't know what Geto was doing over there. I don't know what's happening. And maybe
and it's still less complicated than Tony Khan had to deal with this week.
Oh my God, we will get to that.
I know. It's just, I just was thinking that I'm like, you're saying it out loud and you're like running it down for me. And I'm like,
yeah. And so like
it's very complicated. It is
very complicated. And so I don't know if Sonata just wasn't thinking and just
booker.
Right. Yeah, in both of these companies. Now they're like sharing stuff, and it's a mess. So Sonata, I guess, is going to be at Dominion. Maybe I don't know, maybe he'll wrestle somebody else.
Maybe he'll wrestle Will Ospreay for the vacated title or something.
If Will Ospreay is even clear, because I think Will Ospreay's been out for like, he had
close to, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he's a little bit closer to returning, and so maybe it'll be for like, or maybe it'll be like the number 1 contender for Juice's title. I don't know. So
maybe Sonata, they'll leave that out of that and just kind of
so maybe so I guess Sonata will be there at Dominion. Well, we don't know what he's doing, but it won't be wrestling Juice Robinson. I can tell you that.
We'll figure it out.
So also with Sonata returning, we also had Naido return to action for the first time since he had surgery on his eye. He looked really good. It was very nice to see Naido back in action. New Japan misses when he's not there. So I'm glad that he is back in time for both Dominion and hopefully Forbidden Door. I really hope he's going to be here, because
I can't see them leaving. He's so over in
and yeah, because some people in Daily DDT were talking about it the other day, and they were like, obviously this is not going to be a one-time deal with Forbidden Door, so they're not going to like give up all their dream matches at one time. But I still don't see how you can't have, like you said, because Naido's super over here. Like Naido didn't even realize how over he was here until he came here and he saw all the fans, and he got emotional about it. Like he couldn't believe like that the fans loved him that much. So I was like, that's leaving money on the table if you don't bring Naido in. So hopefully he'll be here. Then also, and later in Bullet Club things, Kenta came back.
That's right.
So Kenta is now back. I think, did that one not get spoiled for me? Yeah, I think that might have been the one that didn't get spoiled.
I read that one.
Was that Kenta came back. He wrestled. I don't know, because I know he's been wearing his hair that way anyway, but I was like, is that a dig at Shibata? Is he wearing his hair like, his hair kind of looks like Shibata's haircut? And I was like, is that what that is? I mean, it's like, I wouldn't put it past Kenta, but it's funny because Kenta keeps telling, he's told this was before the CM Punk injury news, but Kenta had told CM Punk if he didn't face him at Forbidden Door, then he was going to start charging him to use the GTS.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Kenta. Kenta is really funny. He cracks me up. He tweets some really funny things. I really like him. So I'm glad he's back. And then the main event, which was spoiled, was El Desperado versus Haramu. I think if I remember correctly from what Kevin Kelly said, Desperado has never won in Osaka-jo Hall, which was is that where they were they in Osaka or
no.
Budokan?
Budokan?
No, they were in Budokan
Yeah.
last night. Yeah, so I think it was he had never won. I can't remember if it was he had never won a Budokan at all or he had never beaten Haramu there. So there was a lot at stake, obviously, and then Haramu is kind of the BOSJ is, basically associated with Haramu. This is like his tournament. Yeah, it's his tournament. It's his thing. And they, of course, are a great rivalry. They're really great in the ring together. They have such great chemistry. They know each other so well. They know what to look for. I think one of the coolest spots last night, and I gotta go find a GIF of it because I love the GIFs.
I love the GIFs.
There was a Haramu hit a destroyer, which I love the destroyers, and Despy landed on his feet. He landed on his feet, and it kind of took him back, like the momentum did, but it was insane, and like commentary was going crazy before it, and like so it went back and forth. It looked a few times like Despy might pull out the victory, and then Haramu like had him, and he and Despy like kicked out like 2 and 8 9. Like it was very, very close, and Haramu was like just in complete shock. Like he could not believe it, and he like the look on his face, and when he looked at Red Shoes to like confirm, Red Shoes was like, I'm sorry. He got it up just in time. And
what do you want me to say?
Yeah, and Haramu was just like, what do I have to do? But he did it. He put Despy away. Haramu won, and he is the first wrestler to win 4 BOSJ tournaments, and he is the first wrestler to have a three-peat. Yes.
And he's won 4 of the last 5 tournaments.
Right. Yes. So again, this is his tournament. And I was thinking about it yesterday. I did not tweet it because we know how Twitter can be. And also I was thinking about it is because I've only watched New Japan for the last, like, I think I started watching in 2017, 2018. So of course I've seen some really good stuff, but I haven't seen before that. So I was like, with Haramu being this successful at BOSJ, and he's been the champion before, is he the greatest junior heavyweight? Where does he fit in history? Because Kushida, obviously, you can make a really good argument. Kushida is one of the best wrestlers New Japan has ever had. He should have been one of the best wrestlers WWE ever had, but again, a whole other conversation. I love Kushida. Kushida is one of my favorites. But is Haramu the best super junior that New Japan's ever had? Or is he the best of the last 10 years? Or, I mean, I guess there's different ways you could break it down. But he just seems to be so, even when he's not champion, he seems to be so synonymous with the super juniors. I mean, with the juniors, that I just think that when I think of that division, that's who I think of. And I feel like it's his division, even when he's not the champion. Of course, there's Ishimori and there's Despy, and there's a lot of really good talent there. I just think that he is on a whole other level by himself, or maybe with Kushida. Again, I've only watched the last few years, so maybe I'm not the person to be making these declarations, but I'm curious to where others who do watch New Japan regularly, where they would put Haramu in that category, and like where they would place him out of the best the best juniors that they've had. Because I think he has a really good case for, if he's not the best, he's gotta be like top 3. I would think.
I haven't watched as much either, so it's hard for me to say. I know that like Rocky Romero has like,
well, yeah,
obviously it has
definitely.
Like, Liger was who was in the list of other people that were up there with in terms of like people that you think of when you think of Junior.
Yeah,
I mean, Liger's
I guess
Liger.
I think Liger I just think of as his own entity, but
Liger
yes.
is Liger.
Liger is Liger. Liger has his own entity, which is why I guess I don't, when I think Super Juniors, I don't think Liger, just because it's Liger and he's just almost bigger than New Japan. And so I don't really consider, but yes, I guess that argument could be made that he is probably.
But I mean, in terms of like sheer talent, it's hard to argue because, and I mean, you felt the loss when he was out with his neck injury, and it was clearly felt in that tournament in those years where he was missing that, you know, this was a different tournament. We had to have different people and we had to bring some people back. And I mean, you had some great matches too, but it just, as soon as he was back, it was like, okay, let's get this back on track.
Right, exactly. And I think, and even not just his wrestling, I think it's just his personality brings so much
charisma.
Yeah, it's insane how much charisma he has. And so, and I think that tournament was missing, both his wrestling ability and his charisma and just everything about him. It was definitely felt. So I'm really glad for him. He did mention when he was given his, I think this was backstage. I don't think this part was in the immediately after. I think this was backstage, but he mentioned again that he wants to main event Wrestle Kingdom. And I think that Haramu should get that spot. I think if any junior is gonna main event Wrestle Kingdom, it's got to be Haramu. He's, like we said, he's the best they've got. He's the best of that division. And that's not to take away from Despy or anybody else, but he's just on a different level. And I mean, even I think him and El Desperado could be the ones to do it if they're going to have them main event. But I just think that he's at this point, like, it's undeniable that he should have a main event spot at Wrestle Kingdom. And I know there's arguments for Okada and Naido and Ospreay and Jay White and all of these things, but I don't think you can keep denying somebody like Hiromu that spot. And so I hope eventually we get to a point where he's able to, maybe it's not going to be next Wrestle Kingdom, but I hope within the next few years, that's something we get to see, because I think he's worked really hard to make that happen. And I would love to see that.
Definitely. He is the man.
Yes.
So he made that cat so popular. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Yes, I think that was everything for my notes from BOSJ. It was a really good tournament. I enjoyed it. So I hope that G1 is, at that level. And hopefully with G1, I will keep up and watch every single one like I did with
G1 BOSJ. Is my jam.
Even though I would really like for them to go back and put the individual matches up. But then when you get to like midway through the tournament, when they had that live, they had the live show and they did all 10 matches, the rest of the way, all 10 matches were on there. So it wasn't like they were filling it with a bunch of crap. Like, it was tournament matches the whole, every single night. And so I did enjoy that, at least. Let's see. So I guess the other big news this week was that CM Punk, 5 days after he won the AEW World Championship, has to have foot surgery. They were saying
it is his foot, so we know
he keeps saying the reports I'm seeing is his foot. He keeps saying a broken will. He clearly can walk, so I don't think it's his legs. I think it is his foot. And I don't know if this has been confirmed. Some wonder if he broke it when he jumped in the crowd Wednesday night.
I know that was one of the things. I think it was on the botch spot that he had in the actual FTR match.
Right, which is what I think it was too. I think that's where it happened. And so they were saying I read something yesterday saying that AEW knew on Wednesday night that he was injured, but they didn't realize he was going to have surgery until Friday, when he was like on his way to the show. And so he was prepared to relinquish the title. Like he said, in his promo, he's like, I don't want to hold anybody up. I don't want to stand in anybody's way. And then this is where it got confusing, because CM Punk he just said Tony was like, I believe in you. This is just a bump in the road. It's going to be okay. And so that's where the confusion came in, was, okay, well, is he CM Punk was ready to relinquish it, but then is Tony saying no, not to relinquish it? Well, then you have you have Jericho on commentary saying he's relinquishing the title. Still a lot of confusion. Obviously, everybody's kind of upset by it. CM Punk comes out and he like, I knew when I saw the tweet, I had worst case. I was like, oh, he's gonna have something's wrong and he's got to vacate the title. Then he walks down to the ring, and as soon as he gets in the ring, his eyes start welling up and his eyes are really red. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, what's happening?
Retirement never crossed my mind, but apparently it crossed a lot of people's minds. And so I was like, I cannot handle that if he comes back and has to retire after 9 months. So luckily, I mean, it sucks that it happened now. We don't know. And that was one of the things that I was thinking about yesterday when I was writing the article about it. I was like, we don't know what was planned for his championship. Like, when was he going to get his rematch with Hangman? Because obviously that's got to happen. Who was his first feud going to be? And, we had that, we were asked that question on the live stream. We were asked who we thought CM Punk's first feud was going to be. Right. And so we had all these exciting ideas of what he was going to do. And then, obviously he's going to have to face MJF at some point, because that had been, even before everything last weekend, the kind of consensus was CM Punk is going to be the one to take it off of Hangman at some point. And then at some point, CM Punk is going to drop it to MJF because MJF's going to get his win back from the dog collar match. It makes the most sense. So we know that, that's kind of where it was going. And now it's just all up in the air. So Surprise. They get back. Yeah, so I spent like the commercial break trying to figure out, like I was in Slack and because I think Fightful posted that he relinquished the title. I think Post Wrestling did it so a lot of the bigger outlets were under the impression that he was relinquishing the title. And so I went to the Daily DET Slack and we were all trying to figure out what was, because it was never confirmed. And then we were like, well, Jericho said, well, then they come back from commercial break and Jericho was like, CM Punk is relinquishing the title. And we were like, oh, okay, well, maybe he said it again to make it clear, because everybody online, maybe they see the buzz online. And then we get into the Scorpio Sky Dante Martin match, and Excalibur is like,
that's not what's happening. Let me clear this up.
Yeah, they're trying to call the match and talk about this. So CM Punk is not relinquishing the title. They're gonna have an interim champion, and so we thought what was happening was somehow Jon Moxley jumped from number 4 in the rankings to number 1.
Yeah.
Which I don't really pay attention to the rankings, but I saw a lot of chatter about it, and they were
there's a lot.
They were he's 7-0 and he was number 4. And then I was like, well, I kind of got why they weren't doing Wardlow, because I think they're saving Wardlow for the TNT championship. So I think that's why. And also I don't think he's ready for the big boy title just yet. As great as he is, it's not quite there yet.
Wardlow, but we have a lot of people that need to get there first.
Yeah. So in reality, I would say Adam Cole should be the number 1 contender, because of where he was in the rankings, everything he's been doing. He won the Owen. It would make sense. However, they're, I guess, pretending the rankings don't really exist. They rearranged the rankings somehow to make it fit. I get replacing CM Punk with somebody like Jon Moxley, because you want to replace one big name with an equally big name. So that makes sense to me. However, they didn't have to do that to get him to be the number 1 contender. All they had to do was have the battle royal and have Jon Moxley win. That's literally all they had to do. Then he would be the one to face Tana. We would get the Mox and Tana match that's being built to, but oh no, that's not what we're doing. So originally Friday night, we thought that they were going to have their opening Dynamite with a battle royal, and the person who wins that was going to face Jon Moxley in the main event of Dynamite. Then that person would go to Forbidden Door to wrestle Tanahashi for the interim AEW World Championship. Then AEW puts out a press release yesterday, and now Hiroki Goto is involved.
So it's and that's just for Dominion, because Dominion is between now and Forbidden Door, the way that they, it kind of makes sense to put.
Yeah, it kind of does, but
I actually feel like I like what they settled on. I don't mind it. because I think that, first of all, I don't have all the hate for Goto that everybody else.
Goto.
I love Goto. I think that's going to be a great match. I think that people whinging about that need to, like, he was IWGP Heavyweight Champion for a bit. Like, so
Goto is good.
The guy can go. I mean,
right.
So it's not as if.
So yeah, I think the match itself.
Do I think that he's gonna win? Probably not.
No.
Tana is Tana, and he's as a friend put it to me, saving things, coming in and saving the day is kind of Tana's thing.
That's very true. Very true.
I mean, he's the universe, guys. Relax.
He is. Yeah. So like, I think. Goto was gonna put out there. Goto and Tana are gonna have a really good match. Like that is not the issue. The issue is they're doing all these extra unnecessary things to get to the very because I think we all know where this is going. We know who's gonna win. We are pretty sure what's gonna happen, and so they're just doing all these. Like I get having the battle royal, and I kind of got okay. Jon Moxley is the new number one contender. Where we left things Friday, I think, wasn't necessary, but it was fine. But now they're adding in, which I do like. So I do like that they're including New Japan in it. I think they're doing too much to get there because it seems extremely likely that Tanahashi is going to win. Jon Moxley is going to beat whoever he faces on the main event, and we're going to get the Mox-Tana match, so they don't need all these unnecessary things to get there. And I do think that they're probably going to if they weren't cowards, they would put the title on Tanahashi. Like I would love to see Tanahashi be the AEW World Champion. Why the hell not? With the perfect opening to change things up and to do something unexpected.
The problem is that it's through the G1, and it's not as if he can, like, you can't have your interim champion not wrestling on your TV show.
Roman Reigns doesn't.
Roman Reigns does not wrestle. Not somebody I want to compare that
That's what I'm saying, though. Roman Reigns, I mean, they do. So, and then how many times did they hold Kenny off where he was on, obviously he was on TV and he had it, but I mean, they did it with Hangman. They would not put Hangman on TV. And there were times where he wasn't on the show at all, or he would be out there to cut a promo and then that was it. And so they could get around it if they wanted to. I think they could. And they've got, I mean, because you've got Wheeler Yuta, he's been with the Pure title and Ring of Honor. Like they've talked about how Ace Austin he's been coming out with his title. So why not have Tanahashi come out with the AEW title during a tournament? They did it with Jon Moxley. So why not? Like they could have. So if they wanted to, I understand the logistics and I understand that is very likely not going to happen. However, I think they could get around it if they wanted to it. But I also understand that New Japan, they've got to keep, they have their commitments too and have their plan of how things are going to happen there. So I understand that as well. But my guess is Jon Moxley is going to win the title, and it's going to be Jon Moxley versus CM Punk whenever CM Punk returns. That's how I think it's going to go down.
All right, so you're ready for me to
Yes, I am.
Your mind? All right.
Yes, so, please do.
Or strike while the iron's hot. Have MJF win the freaking interim title.
I don't think MJF needs an interim title.
Let him put his money where his mouth is and spend the summer kind of doing that, because I mean, the guy has never been more over. He could definitely.
I don't know if I would say more over. They were pretty pissed at him Sunday night when he came out. I mean, that promo on Wednesday, maybe that changed it. Maybe the promo did change it on Wednesday because that was a really great promo. So maybe he got more fans on his side there than maybe they are not as mad as they were on Sunday. maybe they sympathize with him a little bit more. So maybe I'm wrong.
Because he could put on, I mean, that'd be it. Because that would that'd make Tanahashi and MJF the main event of Forbidden Door, which.
That's interesting.
I don't know, but why not? I mean, the Moxley and Tana program is obviously the obvious program.
Yeah, and some
because
people
it's
were
being
saying that they
built
may
for
just
over a
save that for
year.
Wrestle. Some people were saying they might just save that for Wrestle Kingdom, which
And
I could.
also, we don't know how much of the MJF thing is real and how much is.
Yeah. Well, so do you reward his behavior with the title? Do you set that precedent that you can show your ass and threaten to not show up for a pay-per-view and tell Tony Khan all the things that you said on Wednesday, and then you get
Fair enough.
rewarded with a big title? Like, is that going to set a precedent? That, I mean, maybe MJF is the only one who's going to who would act like that. I'm not, but so that kind of, maybe that sets a precedent. Well, I don't like this, so I'm gonna hold the show, basically hold the show hostage and do some things. So I think MJF, I do want him to be champion. I do think he should be the one to take it off of CM Punk.
He'll get it sometime.
Don't know that the interim, I don't think I would want his first title to be interim title, because he's not gonna, I mean, clearly whenever he wins it, he's not gonna hold it forever. So it's not, but he's clear. So if he's interim champion, he has to lose it, because I think they're going to give it back to CM Punk. Like, if Tony is not letting him vacate it now, I think they're not going to do like when Finn Balor got injured in WWE and then he never got a shot at his title again. Like, I don't think they're going to do that. So I would, of course you have to go with the way things unfold, and who knows how long, because that's the one thing is nobody has said how long CM Punk will be out, because obviously I'm sure some swelling has got to go down and things like that before he could even have surgery. We are still in COVID times, even if it is not as bad as it previously was. So, there's other factors to consider. And then you also have to consider Kenny Omega is going to come back at some point. So what if they have MJF win the interim title and then he loses it to Kenny Omega or something like that? Like, whoever wins the title, we would assume would hold it until CM Punk comes back. But what if they drop it? Like, what if Jon Moxley holds it for a few weeks and then Kenny comes back and I don't think they would do that, but I guess there's so many other factors now, because Kenny should be back anytime now. If he's not back at Forbidden Door, obviously we've talked about how we only want him to come back when he's 100%. Well, he said the other day he knows that he will probably never be 100% again. And he's just going to have to deal, which still Kenny Omega 80% is still better than so many people. They could go the MJF route, and I could see why. I can see both arguments for it. Like, I can see why MJF would make sense, because like you said, strike while the iron's hot. MJF is either really over or they really hate him right now. It's kind of, and so he's very good at what he does. But on the other hand, are you rewarding his bad behavior?
That's a good point.
Because we don't know when this kind of went from real life to storyline. It seems like what happened last week was real, and then they worked something out with him, and now they've turned it into, they've kind of turned it into how CM Punk, but when he's had issues with the title before, like where he wanted, because actually,
well, they were trying to essentially
reverse it, or kind of not reverse it, but put MJF in the CM Punk spot, I guess.
Yeah, they were trying to make it look like a F Authority kind of,
right, and like the pipe bomb type of thing,
the pipe bomb thing,
right? And so I guess I can see both sides of it, but I feel like they made Moxley the number one contender for a reason, and it's because they're going to put the title on him.
Well, it makes sense. It's just the same reason that that the IWGP World Championship is on Okada right now, is because Okada's the best guy to have it on.
Sure, especially in your 50-year anniversary.
Well, and they need to rebuild, because they've had the issues
the last couple
years have really hurt them, not being able to tour, not being able to have foreign talent. That's just
right.
That hurts.
Right. And it does. You're right.
And Okada is Okada, and I don't think that, Tanahashi obviously will be Tanahashi forever. And Moxley versus Tanahashi is a great match, and I would love to see it. And it will make
get it.
There's always that. There's the possibility of like putting Bryan Danielson, I guess, in some position there.
Yeah, and I've seen that a lot too. That Danielson, I've seen that too. They're like, well, why not have it come down between Danielson and Moxley? And then but then I was like, well, then what happens? But I guess that would be the same thing with Jon Moxley, is what happens to the Blackpool Combat Club. But I guess it's kind of going to be like a New Day thing where there's still a faction, they still support each other, but one of them happens to have, the big boy title. So I could think that they could do so. And that's I guess a good problem for AEW to have, is they have, quite a few people that they could put, and they could put, they could put it on MJF, they could put it on Danielson, they could put it on Jon Moxley, they could put it on Adam Cole. They could, I don't know if now, it's because of kind of what they've not backed off of Adam Cole, but he's not quite in the title picture right at this moment, but he has been a few times this year already. So they could even go that route. Like somebody was telling me yesterday, they wished it was Adam Cole versus Jon Moxley to make the Owen Cup mean a little bit more, which I guess I could see, that argument too. So I think you could have, so at least they're not, we're in a spot where they're scrambling like,
who the hell are we gonna do this?
Right. Then we also know that Hangman's not going to be in the Battle Royal because he is wrestling David Finlay, and that had already been planned. It had already been announced. So it's not like Hangman's going to get his title back, which I jokingly was like, just put it back on Hangman. Problem solved. Let Hangman have it back. But yeah, so which Hangman versus Finlay, I think will be a really good match. And if these people don't quit shitting on David Finlay, they clearly don't know anything about him.
They have no idea. There's a lot of people that,
and I know that's how they are. They're like, oh, he's on Impact, so that they think that automatically devalues him, which is stupid.
You have to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, he's so, especially now, because he's gotten more serious. He has the shillelagh, and even Lance Storm was like, because David Finlay said something like about how it's going to be cowboy shit versus Finlay shit, and Lance Storm said,
I saw that tweet.
Yeah, how he's wrestled the grandfather and the father, and basically Finlay shit is nothing to play with.
Yeah, you don't want to
mess with that. And now, like we said, he's been gifted the shillelagh. So I think this is gonna be, people underestimate David Finlay, maybe because he was a C Block champion. I don't know.
And I think that people forget how good Hangman is until he gets a wrestling. I don't understand why people. There's like this weird thing where people like forget how good he is, and he shows up for every big match he's been in. And yet it's like, well, I don't know if this and I don't know if that. And it's like, but every time he shows up for every match, he's always on. So I mean,
right. And even like when I was on because I was on the media call before Double or Nothing, and Tony kept saying like, Hangman Page is the best champion in all of professional wrestling. Like he was like, I firmly believe that. Like he has always been super, even since Page has had this title, every time that there's only been even back at Revolution, like he's very much behind Hangman Page. Like maybe his title run wasn't handled the best because sometimes there were weeks where he wasn't on TV. They did that. And so like, I was like, so I get that. And he there's some things that they could have improved on. However, Hangman himself, like he delivered, like we talked about, he delivered every single time. He never let the fans down. He bled in like 90% of his matches. Man. Like he was always on and he always delivered. And then we kind of saw like when he considered, because that belt meant so much to him, he considered using it as a weapon to protect it, and then and so it kind of went back to the anxious millennial cowboy, the imposter syndrome. So I think we're going to kind of see that again. So I think some people are mad that Hangman's not in the title picture, but I think for whatever they have planned for Hangman now and like kind of his, I guess, redemption story, it probably and that probably just adds to it. Like they didn't think enough of me to put me in the Battle Royal to get my title back. They put me with David Finlay, which is not a slight against David Finlay, but like compare, like I think so that they can use that for
It'll
Hangman.
Be for part of his story.
Yeah. So, and I know that they're scrambling. I know that CM Punk, they didn't plan on him to be injured 5 days after winning the title, and so I know they're doing their best They're just doing a lot of, and I think they're also kind of trying to deliver because CM Punk is one of the biggest names in wrestling, and now he's gone for however long he's going to be gone. So they're trying to make it up to the fans by making sure that there's a tournament where there's a lot of big names probably are going to be in it. Now we have Tanahashi in it. We've got Goto in it. For people who are not familiar with Goto, I hope they will. I don't know how many people are going to tune into Dominion to watch that match, especially because a lot of them there's probably going to be the foregone conclusion that Tana is going to win this match. So they may not be. I don't think that a lot of people are just going to be like, oh, I'm subscribing to World so I can see who wins. But for the fans who do watch it, I think that's a nice little thing, and I think that's kind of maybe some goodwill towards New Japan to make them feel included. That they're like, because poor Tana, like he's under the assumption that he's wrestling for the AEW World Championship, and now they're like, we don't know. So, and bless Tana, he's so good that I'm sure he'll just do whatever they ask of him. And so, they're asking him to please be in this tournament. And even though you technically had this spot already,
I think, given the circumstances, though, I think that it was the right way. I think that they're handling it the right way. I think that the possibility that a New Japan person could be the interim champion is something that's interesting. I think we can't forget that there's another show that's in between G1 and Wrestle Kingdom that they could use to help build the unification story.
Right.
And if they think that this is an injury that's a 3 to 4 month injury,
which is my guess,
because obviously you would have him relinquish the title. You'd have to if it was going to be months and months, but in something that's in a time frame of 3 to 4 months where you could be rehabbed and you could potentially make it part of the story. I was saying earlier, you could make it part of the story with the suitcase and winning the suitcase back. You could make those two things cross over a little bit.
Right. That makes sense.
So, there's not like right in the time frame when he could potentially be coming back, there's a lot of stuff you could weave into, like a third. Say it's a braid. There's 2 strings. You've got that third thing that you can weave in there to just kind of give the extra obstacle. Then you've got Wrestle Kingdom,
right?
And then
even before Wrestle Kingdom, you have All Out. Well, and Full Gear, but you've got All Out, which will likely be in Chicago. So will CM Punk be?
Oh, there you go.
Like, will CM Punk be ready to come back at All Out in Chicago? Is that where he wins it? Which is what I said all along: is that Heyman should beat CM Punk at Double or Nothing. Hold on to
October. It. That's actually, if he's going to be better, that would be perfect.
And then have CM Punk win it and all out in Chicago in front of his hometown. Like, I get the optics of having before this. Like, I get the optics, but that's how if I were Tony Khan, that's how I would have handled it. But then there was
Hangman should wrestle Okada. I think that's
I'm hoping. Well, that's
the match I
apparently
want
that is
at
the
Forbidden Door.
That's the from what I saw last week, I believe there was a report from Dave saying on the internal list, this was also pre CM Punk getting hurt. So
and then they did a retraction on that because
they? Okay,
they actually did print. Josh actually printed in a retraction where he said that was something that he had seen older. It was older information.
Gotcha. Well, and I still wanted to see it. Hangman versus Okada is the match that I wanted, and so I would like to get that. But then obviously I know
the Finlay match will be fine. It'll be
and it's going to be good. And I think it'll introduce Finlay to some new people who aren't familiar with him, and I think also to see Finlay by himself away from Juice Robinson. Because Finlay, haven't. Yeah, and I love Finn Juice. They're one of my favorites. I enjoy them so much. And they're so much fun together. But Finlay is really good. And I think a lot of people have not seen that, especially if they're not watching Strong, or like we said, they haven't seen Finlay by himself. So I think this is a really big moment for Finlay to prove himself, to as much pressure as that is to live up to that family name, because that's what they're going to be like. Oh, he's a Finlay. They're definitely
No
going to
big
put these,
deal.
they're putting him, and that's kind of like what they did with Takeshita a few weeks ago. They put Takeshita in this spot where he was wrestling Hangman Page, who was the champion at the time. It wasn't for the title, but they thought enough of him. So I feel like they think enough of Finley to put him against a former champion a week after. This will be his first match since he lost the title. So Hangman's going to have a lot to prove. Finley has a lot to prove. Like, I think it's going to be a lot better than people who aren't familiar with Finley are giving it credit for. Like, I think it's going to be, I'm looking forward to this match, and I think it will be good. And so we had all of this stuff. So now we've got where all these things tie in together with AEW. Now we have Forbidden Door, we've got Dominion, and all of this stuff and how they all interweave into each other. And will stuff happen at Dominion that's going to lead to Forbidden Door, which obviously I think it has to. I don't know how much CM Punk's injury throws that into into chaos of what they were planning to do here. And then, like you said, we've got G1 coming up now. Do we have interim champion Tana holding the title and competing in G1 and away from AEW TV? Do we have, like,
I mean, maybe he's not in the tournament. I mean, he definitely.
Or what if the plan all along has been Mox to be in the tournament?
This was something that someone had pointed out, is that if he was going to go do the G1, that's probably off the table. I think most people assume that he is going to get the belt for the remainder of the time.
Well, somebody made a good point too. I think it was Phil Lindsay, who I think I really enjoy Phil. I mean, I worked with him at Fansided, but I think he's really smart in the way he views things. But he made the point that, this could be a proper run for Moxley, because yes, Jon Moxley held the title for 277 days, but it was without fans. So now Moxley, if he gets the title, he will get a quote unquote proper run because he will be in front of the crowd. The crowd clearly loves him. They adore him.
I love him. I have no problem with it. If they put the belt on him, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Even if they put it on MJF, I don't necessarily think that's the right thing to do. However, AEW has generally earned enough goodwill with the way they book things that they will make it work. This is a really big test for them. Like, how do you handle your biggest, and as we saw in the scrum, CM Punk is their biggest moneymaker in the last 9 months. He wants Eric Bischoff to know this.
Oh, Eric Bischoff, just stop.
But so we know that he draws how much money he draws for them, how many tickets he sells, and things of that nature. So it is going to hurt them, especially when it was going to be the Summer of Punk Part 3. I think it's what we're on now from ROH, WWE, and AEW. I think this is Part 3 that we were on here. So, I mean, I think so. Maybe they do give it to MJF, and maybe, like you said, maybe that makes him, maybe that will make him happy. Maybe that will be some goodwill from Tony Khan to MJF. I don't know. I mean, so there are a lot of ways it can go, even though it seems super obvious with how they're going to do it. But I think they could just throw, like you said, maybe they do throw us a curveball and we get Danielson instead, or maybe we get Adam Cole or something like that. So I think those are all, there's interesting possibilities, even if they go the super obvious route and have Jon Moxley hold the title and have him wrestle CM Punk whenever he's back, like, it's still gonna be, I think it will still be good. I think the fans will still appreciate it, but which is why I kind of think they're going to go with Jon Moxley, because Jon Moxley is probably, if CM Punk, if CM Punk is the most, well, aside from Kenny Omega and taking Kenny Omega out of this, because we don't know when Kenny's going to be back. But if CM Punk is the most beloved person on that roster, Jon Moxley is like literally neck and neck with him. So I do think that and I mean, there's Danielson too, but the people love Jon Moxley. And so I can kind of see them just being like, we have to go with him. If we can't have CM Punk here, this is the guy who anchors us until CM Punk comes back, whenever that's going to be. So there's definitely a lot.
It was the original plan when he went and when he decided to do a recovery as well. So that's not that far off, where they can use some of those storylines that they were gonna mess with.
Yeah, so I think they can kind of circle back around to some stuff that maybe didn't work out the last, during that time frame. So I think it's a really interesting time. especially if I don't know how people who don't watch New Japan feel about it, but as someone who does watch AEW and New Japan, like I love it. It's this is great. I'm getting two of my favorite promotions, doing these things together. And so maybe if the fans who don't watch New Japan, maybe they are like, why is Tana even in the conversation? Who is Goto?
Yeah.
Why do I care? But for those of us who do watch, and we do know who Goto is, and Goto is a really great wrestler. I really like him. I think that he will have, even if he's going into this knowing he's going to lose, like he's going to give Tana
that'll be a good match.
He's going to give Tana a good match, especially, and that's huge for Goto. Like,
yeah,
to be involved, like who knew if he would even ever be involved in whatever New Japan does, just because he's not as big of a name as some of these other guys. And so this is a huge spot for him to like showcase what it is that he does. And so I think that's a really good spot for him, and good for him. I think he deserves it. So I'm really looking for, I was already looking forward to Dominion. Obviously now we have that extra reason to AEW, and how they handle this is going to be really interesting. Forbidden Door just got that much more interesting. I think you do have to make this the main event. I think sorry, Okada. Hangman Page or Okada versus whoever. I think you have to make that the main event. It's gotta be for the AEW interim world champion. World championship.
I think that seems like the most likely.
Right.
It's
and one quick aside, I do want to say, because we've all talked about all these other things, we have talked about DDT Pro and how they're going to be involved in things. We've already seen Takeshita. I think pretty much Takeshita impressed everybody. Everybody loves Takeshita. We want more of Takeshita here. And we've talked about how DDT Pro utilizes women, how AEW could do the same thing. They could make them work together. So I did have the opportunity to ask Tony Khan a question. And I did not go back and transcribe the full answer like I was going to, because some other things have been going on.
Created a little buzz on the conversation. I was like, that's my Sam. She asked that question. Twitter's talking about it now.
Well, and I had two questions, and the other question was related to Britt Baker, and I almost went with that one just because it was the night after she got put in the tournament, and I almost went with that question, but I was like, I got to go with the DDT Pro question, because nobody's talking about the DDT Pro relationship other than Takeshita being here. I was like, the women are not being talked about really, and how they get to be involved. They're clearly not going to be involved in Forbidden Door. We understand why that is. So you have this relationship with DDT Pro. When are we going to get to? So I basically asked Tony, when are the women going to, since they can't be involved in the actual Forbidden Door show, not the proverbial Forbidden Door. They won't be in the actual show. So are they going to get this opportunity now to do stuff with DDT Pro to let them kind of have their own Forbidden Door moments where they are getting to compete with these women in Japan? And Tony gave me an answer. And like I said, I wish I had transcribed it, but it was, he did say yes, that he had planned on it. But then he said, and then he talked about how because I told him, I was like, we saw a little bit with the Forbidden Door. We saw Deanna finally come through it, but it was against Mercedes Martinez for the ROH title. Like it wasn't, and Deanna and Britt pushed for months to Tony Khan to let them wrestle on TV or at a pay-per-view, and it never happened. And so we finally got Deanna and Mercedes, which was a great match. And I am a fan of both women, so I'm glad we got to see both of that. But it's clearly not the same as how they've had men come through the Forbidden Door. And yes, we've had Maki Ito, and I'm so glad she came back again. I love her. I think she's phenomenal. So if they've got women like that, then why wouldn't you want to bring more of that in? And we saw with the tournament they did, the women's tournament that involved Japan, like we saw that stuff, and people were interested in it and into it and things like that. So Tony did say yes, but then he said he looks forward to having both men and women through the Forbidden Door. So he sort of answered me, but sort of didn't. And I don't think he was trying to not answer my question. Sometimes when you listen to Tony Khan on a media call, and if you watch any of the scrum, you know that Tony's just he's got a lot going on at once. And so I don't think he was trying to slight me. I mean, maybe he was. Maybe he was like, why is it every time I talk to this girl, she's asking me about women's wrestling? He's like, literally every single time. Except that, because even when I was at Double or Nothing, which is funny now that I think about it, I was at Double or Nothing last year, and I got to do an in-person scrum, and I asked when the women were going through the Forbidden Door and Impact. And he told me, he was like, well, we'd love to see it happen. But then he told me that Private Party, the plan at the time, I don't know what happened after that because this did not pan out. But the plan he told me was that Private Party was going to go through the Forbidden Door. And it sounded like Private Party was going to get like an Impact storyline. And then for whatever reason, that never panned out. So clearly the women did not pan out either. But like, so now that I think about it, that is 2 Double or Nothing scrums in a row that have asked about women and Forbidden Door. So guess what, Tony Khan? I'm going to keep asking until you deliver.
Well, I liked that people were having at least a little bit of a conversation about.
Yeah, and they were talking
about. There was actually a conversation going on Twitter after the fact that he had been asked that, and I liked that. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
it did cool start the conversation about like trios belts and tag team belts and. Yeah, and at least out there, like
right, and
there's a consciousness for it.
Yeah, and I saw conversations about like kind of matchups they'd like to see, like which women they'd like to see. So that was cool. And I did see one person who, because of the way Sean Ross Sapp worded the question, which you only get so many characters.
Yeah,
he's live tweeting, which I get it. So it was worded, I guess somebody took it as me saying, why aren't women going through the Forbidden Door when we've had that, which is not what my question was. My question was specifically about DDT Pro and when, and so that got taken out of context a little bit. But again, I don't necessarily fault Sean Ross Sapp. He's obviously live tweeting and he's tweeting it the best he can. And I think it was just interpreted that way. And I saw some, and I considered responding, but then I was just like, it's not even worth it. Like,
don't elevate that.
Yeah, I was like, it's
not feed the troll.
Exactly. I was like, this isn't the energy. I don't have the energy to deal with this. I was like, Tony answered my question. Most people got it. They put in who they'd like to see involved. Like you said, it's out there now. Hopefully we get it whenever we get more into the DDT conversation. And now that CM Punk is hurt, I don't know if that changes whatever plans they had with DDT Pro, because obviously New Japan is their focus. So, we'll see. But I did ask, and so I was like, I don't want to bring that up.
Keep asking.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up since we have talked about it a few times. How they could use the women with DDT Pro. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts between AEW and New Japan and Dominion and Forbidden Door and All Out and Wrestle Kingdom. Like, I think there's a lot, and who knows what they have planned. Forbidden Door is not going to be the only show. I think we're obviously, I don't know that this will be a twice a year thing. It will probably just be an annual thing where they do some kind of things together, but it sounds like they're going to kind of lend some, which is what they've been doing. Like, they've been kind of lending wrestlers over to AEW. AEW's kind of sent some things their way. I think that'll probably continue. Hopefully we get our dream of Samoa Joe being a G1. We get Danielson in the G1 at some point, whether it's even if it's next year. We have Kenny Omega. Maybe he'll go back and be in the G1. I don't know if he can put his body through that, though. That's a lot. G1 is a very brutal tournament. Yeah. And so I don't know that
we might get to see him at the Tokyo Dome or something again, which would be great.
Yeah, and the Forbidden Door, he may just come out and talk. Some people have wanted to see that, so maybe we get that. I'm sure we get the Young Bucks on that card because they were such a big part of the explosion of fans who were watching at the time. Right. So I think we'll probably see some of that too. So I'm really looking forward to Forbidden Door, even minus whatever happens with the interim title. I think that'll be good, but I think there's a lot of stuff that they could do and that they could hopefully get storylines out of it. So Dominion will be interesting to watch too, because I'm sure something was already planned. Like maybe that's where Hangman challenges Okada or something like that. Maybe it's something like that. Or because we had talked about, would they post the videos or something? Then obviously we had Tana actually come out. So then maybe will they send someone to Japan and actually, have them come out, and do something like that. So it'll be interesting to see, but it's a very exciting time to be an AEW and New Japan fan for sure. So I think we've gone a bit past our hour, but again, we didn't know
news on Friday.
Yeah, we didn't know CM Punk was gonna be injured, and because this was basically just gonna be a BOSJ recap and looking forward to Dominion and Forbidden Door, and then we got this giant wrench thrown into it, and so It's very interesting to see how they'll handle it. I think they'll handle it well, even if, there's maybe they didn't necessarily need all the extras to get there. I think it'll be worth it in the
We'll
end.
see.
We'll see how it plays out. And like you said, it is extremely obvious. I mean, it looks extremely obvious about the finals, but maybe they're like, no, we're gonna do this instead.
Maybe they'll. I mean,
maybe it will be Adam Cole. Maybe it will be MJF. Yeah, they might swerve us.
I mean,
maybe they'll just swerve everybody and they're just going to be like, all right, it's going to be Keith Lee.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I mean, I theoretically, like they were talking about this, like Garrett asked this question today, but basically it was, obviously Gato and Tony are going to be working closely together on this one because they have no choice. So, I mean, those are two
and I think they're doing the best.
Good minds.
And I think Tony's kind of trying to not extend an olive branch, but I think he's just trying to to make sure their working relationship stays good, that they're still, that Tana's not getting screwed out of whatever was originally planned for him. They're keeping him involved. Like we said, they've given
I think Goto, it'll be fine. He's going to stay in the
and then, and like I said, Goto was getting a really big spot, which is really good for him. It may not be an opportunity he gets again, unfortunately, just because there's so many things. So I think this is really cool for Goto, and he can showcase, and the people who don't watch New Japan maybe or they don't know the names outside of like Okada and Naido, and Will Ospreay and Jay White, maybe this gives them a chance to see who, not necessarily, I don't want to say the undercard, but like the people, like there are people,
the rest of the roster.
Yeah, exactly. There's not just 5 people who wrestle for that company.
Right.
Like they have a
really good roster.
Right, too. Exactly. And so I think it's cool to put somebody like Goto in that spot to let them see him. And then we did have the spot a couple of weeks ago where Jeff Cobb and Greatest O'Connor came out. And Greatest O'Connor lived his best life when he was in Vegas. We saw the pictures and the videos. He was living his best life. But then Takeshita was living his best life in a completely different way with Cinnabon. So
whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what you like.
Yes, exactly. Like what you like and have fun. And they are both. So so we've got that whole little thing that, it seems like Cobb and Ocon will be involved in something at Forbidden Door since they showed up.
I mean, maybe they'll wrestle the Bucks. Who knows?
Maybe so, especially because they've got a title match at Dominion, right? Isn't that their?
Yes.
Yeah, they have their title match.
They could get their titles back.
Yes. Oh, and I think we mentioned it 2 episodes ago when we were talking about the Dominion matches, and I think we were talking about Shingo. Now just blanked on who he's wrestling, but I think it is because we were trying to remember if it was for anything. I think it's for the KOPW trophy, I believe is what that was for. And of course I completely forgot, so now it doesn't matter.
It's all right. They've got the card up somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to be adding to it, and then maybe Sonata wrestles.
Maybe
maybe
he finds someone to wrestle.
Maybe Will Ospreay is cleared, or maybe he will just wrestle Hanma or something. They'll just send Hanma out there, or they'll send. Is Kojima still doing stuff with Noah? I think he hasn't been doing.
Sure.
I think I saw him tweet. No, yeah, I think I've seen Kojima tweeting about doing stuff with. He's been doing stuff with Noah. I think. I want to say
maybe Kota Ibushi will finally come back.
That's a whole other can of worms. Okay. He does not seem very happy, and his shoulder is nowhere near being ready.
Still hurt, so.
From what he has been saying, his shoulder is nowhere near being what it should be near. But I don't know if that's in Kota's perspective, like if Kota, because he has such high standards for himself,
right?
He does, but he says it's well below what it should be. I don't know how much of that is just the expectations he's putting on himself to be a certain way, but I don't expect to see him back. Probably not even before. I would not
put Hiromu on a card.
Please. Please.
There you go.
See? Let us write this. We got it.
Yeah, totally.
So thank you for staying around with us a little bit longer than usual. We're trying to stick to the hour mark, but we had some extra things. And there's a lot going on, and I'm sure the other shows this week will be talking about both of what we talked about. Maybe they'll just be like, no, we do not agree with you.
You're all wrong.
You don't know what you're talking about. This is what's going to happen. Or maybe they won't answer my question about Haramu and being one of the best.
They'll flesh out all the details.
Yes, so make sure you check out their shows as well. Of course, follow us on subscribe to Fight Game Media, please, as when you know when our show will be up. Of course, we're on Twitter all of the time. Especially now with the way things are going, there's so much going on. You kind of have to be on Twitter, or you're gonna miss extra matches being announced. Like, seriously, because I had literally just submitted my article to Daily D, or no, I had submitted it and had been posted like maybe 10 minutes when we saw it, and I was like, let me go edit this so people aren't like, well, that's not what's happening there. He's not wrestling Tanahashi, and I had to go fix it and try to explain it at the same time. And I
Sam, why are you not seeing into the future?
Listen, I'm still working on those powers, okay?
Okay, wow. If you hook that up, you let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I will do. So yes, make sure you're following us everywhere. Follow Fight Game Media. We will be back next week. Who knows what's going to happen within the next week with all this stuff. We would most likely be wait, when is the 12th? Next Sunday? Yeah. So next Sunday is Dominion. We will probably be sleeping when that airs. I don't know if we might have to get spoiled on Dominion so we can come talk about it on our show.
Maybe we could do it later in the day or something.
We might have to.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So next week we will be back. It might be later Sunday when we've both watched Dominion. And then maybe you'll get it then. But yeah, so we'll probably be back with Dominion stuff next week. I'm sure we'll talk about whatever happens on Dynamite this week, and we find out who will be facing whomever wins at Dominion.
Right, because we'll have more information.
Yeah, so we should have that filled out. Maybe we'll have another Forbidden Door match to talk about if somebody shows up at Dominion or sends a little video package at Dominion and challenges somebody for Forbidden Door. So maybe we'll have that, but we will definitely be back at some point next week. So make sure you are following us on Twitter so that you can find out. And if you are subscribed to the Fight Game Media YouTube, you will obviously see that when it pops up. But thank you for hanging out with us, and hope you enjoyed our little unboxing that we did at the beginning. And we will see you next week, and I hope that you guys have a really good week.
Go Ace!
Yeah.